The Truth Girls.
Hi everyone. The government of Quebec has made vitamin D tests so inaccessible, they have virtually banned them. And this is how I found out about it. The other day, I went down to one of these clinics to ask the doctor for a requisition for a blood test to test my blood levels of vitamin D, and I had a conversation with her that went something like this. Hi, I'm trying to improve my health and I'd like my vitamin D levels tested. Could I have a requisition, please?
We don't test for that.
Yes you can. It's right there on the requisition form.
We don't do it anymore.
But vitamin D levels are so important.
It has never been shown that vitamin D levels have any effect on your health.
Oh, really?
You can go find another doctor if you prefer.
No, that's fine. I just don't understand.
The government issued a memo telling the doctor not to test for vitamin D anymore.
What about if you get the test done privately?
Impossible.
What about if you were very, very rich and could have anything you wanted?
No, impossible.
I must be in some kind of medical New World Order Twilight Zone. So I was kind of getting the feeling that maybe this doctor was messing with me. Maybe she knew that I wasn't really from the rich neighborhood where that clinic was and that I was an intruder, and she just wanted to make sure I would never come back again. So I went to another clinic and I asked the nurse there what was going on with the vitamin D testing, and she said that as of March 6th this year, none of the clinics or hospitals in Montreal test for vitamin D levels anymore in accordance with government instructions. And when I asked, well, why would the government do that? She said, well, because we know that most people are deficient, so there's no point in testing. I thought that was very strange logic. So the nurse at this clinic told me if I wanted more information on, for example, whether this could still be tested privately, I could call Info Santé, the health information helpline. So I called Info Santé, and the woman said, there is no evidence that testing vitamin D levels has any benefit to your health. So just to check, I called another clinic, one where they do tests privately, and I asked the nurse, can the doctor write a requisition for a vitamin D test? And she said, yes, you can. I said, okay, because I've been told that as of March 6th, doctors are instructed no longer to write the requisitions. And she said, well, they can, but only if you have a metabolic disorder. So I said, well, what if I'm just trying to improve my health and I'd like to pay for the test privately? And she said, oh, no, no, no. That's almost impossible. It takes 8 months to do the test.
Bullshit.
At this point, I was sure that I was in the Twilight Zone. So I did find out what had happened, what had led to this change in procedure. And it was that local papers had started publishing articles about vitamin D and vitamin D deficiency and the role of vitamin D in your health, such as this one that pointed out that 30% of Canadians have low vitamin D levels and 10% are frankly deficient. And I guess this led to a rise in the public's awareness and interest in their own vitamin D levels. And so in response, the government, I guess in an attempt to save money, put such severe restrictions on the testing that they basically made the test inaccessible. And I'd just like to point out one thing, that in fact vitamin D levels are very relevant to your health. So here are some of the problems that are known to be associated with low vitamin D levels. Well, first of all, there's cancer, especially breast and colorectal cancer. Vitamin D levels also play a role in osteoporosis and the treatment thereof. And then there's also diabetes and obesity, which may cause vitamin D deficiency. Low vitamin D is also linked to depression and fibromyalgia symptoms. And having low levels also increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. And I recently found out that it's also implicated possibly in restless leg syndrome.
Impossible.
Even though there's all this evidence that vitamin D levels are very important and that most people in Canada are deficient, for some reason up until recently, the government's RDA for people under 50 was 200 IU a day, which is nothing. And from dietary sources, it should be something like 600 IU, which is also very low. They recently raised it, or at least the medical community recommends 1,000 IU a day. But research has shown that to get your blood levels up into a better range, actually closer to an optimal range, and not just avoid deficiency, you would need about 4,000 IU a day. This is not medical advice, just saying. But that once you get it into that range that's near optimal, if you want to raise it, you actually have to take 8,000 IU a day, because your body has a way of compensating for all this extra vitamin D that you get. It's like it plateaus off, and then you actually have to take double the dose to boost it further up. So if you're interested in your vitamin D levels and you live in Quebec, you can still get them tested, but you have to go to a private doctor, or you can get them tested through a kit that you can buy on the internet, and I'll leave you a link for an example of one of those. So I find the medical system in Quebec is frustrating and mismanaged, and they should put their priorities more on prevention. So anyhow, I'm still going to take vitamin D, and actually I'm going to leave you a link for a supplement, like a high-potency supplement that's been recommended to me that I'm going to try. I'm going to try that one out. So leave me your comments, and let me know if you've had any experience with having your vitamin D levels tested and then supplementing and seeing your levels go up, and if you noticed that that had any beneficial effect on your health, let me know about it. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.